Hello orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I've got a very exciting video for you today, and it's going to be quite a big care collab video, and I'm collaborating with 9 other channels today, and we're all gonna be releasing videos today, so you will find all of them on YouTube today. And we're all gonna be talking about Phalaenopsis Care. So let me just go through the list of all the other channels that are participating in this care collab, and that is Honeybees and Orchids, Ninja Orchids, Simply Orchids, etc., Justin's Orchids and More, Danny's Orchid Journey, Fernando Nascimento Orchids and Succulents, Cloud Forest Vibes Orchids and More, The Orchid Saga, and Trisha's Orchid and Plant Life. You know, when I got my first phal, I was pretty scared. I didn't know how to take care of plants. I've never grown anything before I got this phal. So you know, I was really scared to actually, you know, to kill it. And what I did was I went onto YouTube and just started watching videos. You know, just, you know, started with the basics like how to water orchids, how to repot orchids, how to, you know, fertilize orchids. I just honestly watched like videos, you know, the most basic videos on how to take care of the orchids. These are my 3 Phalaenopsis orchids. These are complex hybrids. So this one is a miniature Phalaenopsis, and you can get it in a supermarket or a DIY store, stuff like that. And then this other one is basically a standard size Phalaenopsis. So it's actually currently in bloom. So here are the flowers, very beautiful white phal. As you can see, the spike is massive. It's also kind of growing on the side, which is a little bit unusual. Usually the phals spike would go upwards and it might arch, but this one is kind of growing sideways, and then it created a branch right here, and it's now growing a branch sideways as well. So yeah, let's go through the care of these. So once you get them in from the store, not everybody recommends that, but I always repot my plants after I get them in. So and there is a couple reasons for that. Even if it is in full bloom, I would still be repotting the plant. And my reasoning for that is, I don't know what is in the pot. You know, it could be a pot full of rotten roots, or it could have a plug in the middle which can desiccate the new roots growing. So I would rather, you know, get the plant repotted, even if it will drop the flowers a little bit quicker than it would if I didn't repot. To me, the health of the plant is more important than the blooms that I can currently see. You know, if the plant will be healthy and if it will grow new roots and new leaves, it will push out another spike for you, and it will bloom again, and it will be long term. If there is loads of rotten roots and, you know, the plant is getting dehydrated while you're enjoying the blooms, it might be the last blooms you see. So I prefer to just repot the plant. So you can see it's growing sideways, and I try to correct it. You can see I put this wire in here to kind of secure it in the pot. If it wasn't here, this plant would literally just fall out of the pot. I tried planting it upright, and it just still wants to grow sideways. And to be honest, this is quite good. So, which kind of takes me to the next point, is watering the plant. So when you water the plant, you want to water you know, at the base of the media, but you don't want to get the water in the crown or somewhere in between the leaves. If accidentally you get water in there, just take a paper towel and just, you know, try and wick the water out of there. And I would also put the plant in front of the fan and just let, or, you know, in front of the open window if the weather is good and if it's not too cold, just to kind of get the water dried up before nighttime, because you can actually rot the plant, rot the crown or the stem, and if you get rot in here, it's very difficult to get it out of there, so better not to do that. And also in terms of watering and kind of the media as well, let's kind of cover both. These complex phals, they like to dry out in between watering. So when you plant your orchid, you want an airy mix, and one of the most kind of popular probably mixes is bark. So it's just bark chips, you can see here I've actually got some orange bits, which is ceramis. Ceramis just retains a little bit more moisture. It really depends on your climate and where you live. You know, you can be growing in bark alone, and that's perfect. You can actually grow in moss alone, and it can still be drying up, you know, every couple of days. It really depends where you live, and how humid your environment is, and or how dry the environment is, how warm or cold it is. So it's very difficult to say exactly what to plant your orchid in. It is kind of a bit of experimentation, you know, and when you get your first plant, it may, you know, you may not know what to do with it, and that's okay, you know. Just what I would say, you know, so this is my first ever phal. It's still alive, but when I got it first, I planted it in bark and moss mix, and it was all fine, everything was good. But when autumn came, I noticed that basically most of my roots just rotted away, and the reason for that was that when the colder weather came through, my pots didn't dry out fast enough, so I would water this every week, and the pot was basically all wet. So it just rotted the roots, because, you know, during the colder season, the plants will slow down a little bit, they're not gonna grow as much, and they don't need as much water as well, and if the pot is wet all the time, the roots will just rot. So, you know, basically I had a pot full of rotten roots, but that's okay, you know, the plant didn't die straight away. It's really, you know, it's really important to kind of notice the signs. So if you can see some roots through the pot and you see they're not good, you know, just take the plant out of the pot and see what's going on. You know, if the roots are rotten, then it's just staying too moist. So maybe try different media that doesn't stay moist that long. But I've got some aerial roots as well, and that's fine, you know. I mean, these plants can grow on trees basically in the air, so they don't need soil or kind of substrate for the roots. You know, the roots will be healthy and fine. As long as you can hydrate the plant, you know, that's all that matters. You know, you can actually just put it on a mount, for example, and grow it mounted. If you can keep up with the watering, if you can keep up with the humidity, that's totally fine. In terms of fertilizer, I would, I would be kind of on the side of caution with the fertilizer. So, you know, feed them lightly, but you can get some orchid fertilizers in the garden centers, and you know, just use them as instructed. What I would say as well with the fertilizing, you want to flush your orchids as well. So some people do it every time they fertilize. So you would pour fertilized water on the plant, wait maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then give it just pure water. I usually don't do that. I just don't have time to be watering my plants twice. So I would give them fertilized water maybe 3 times or 4 times, or kind of, you know, 3 to 4 weeks, and then I would do a flush. So I would just take, you know, pure water and just flush all my plants without any fertilizer, and that kind of washes out all the salts. This one here as well, you can see I've got quite a lot of leaves. So there is 5 leaves in total, and another one growing. So it's doing quite well. You can see it's got beautiful mottled leaves as well, and it's a pink, kind of cold pink flower, and it's actually fragrant as well, which kind of surprised me, because usually those hybrid phals don't have any fragrance. You can see the roots are just massive, you know, all around the pot, loads of roots. So, and yeah, that's why I use these transparent pots, so that I can see the roots in the pot. I think actually this one will get repotted soon, because this one is still potted up in a garden orchid kind of substrate from the garden center, and It's got a bit of soil, as you can see, and it's very wet. Although miniature phals, they quite like to stay a little bit more moist than those big phals. So the big phals will definitely want to be, you know, will have to have a wet dry cycle, whereas those kind of miniature ones, they don't seem to mind that too much. You know, they can stay moist a bit longer, and you can see these beautiful branching roots, you know, aerial roots, very long. Usually the spikes will come from the second leaf down on the side. So if you look at on this side, so you've got leaf, let me actually turn it around so there is no tag in front of you. So we've got leaf 1, leaf 2, and then the spike would actually come through here, you know, the second leaf down. Same here, we've got leaf 1, 2, so it would come kind of from the base. It's growing the third leaf, so once that kind of matures, then we will have leaf 1, 2, and then the spike would come from here. But you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I mean, spikes can even come from the crown, which is not really good. You know, if a spike comes from the crown, it won't be able to grow leaves anymore from the crown, which basically means, no, the plant can't grow. So what would normally happen is it would push out a keiki, either from a spike, you know, from the top of a spike, or it can push out the keiki from the base. And it kind of grows into a new plant. So yeah, and then in terms of light, these guys don't need too much light. You know, they're okay with kind of bright shade, lower light. You know, some other orchids would like highlight. These ones don't. If you grow them on a windowsill, that's fine. Just make sure your leaves don't get hot, because you know, if they start kind of warming up, you can start having burn marks on the leaves. So yeah, just watch out. Just make sure they're not getting warm or hot. Eastern and western window would probably be best. You can even try maybe add some shade cloth on the window so that they don't get direct sunlight. I would just have like a curtain on the window, and then I would have some shelves just next to the window, and you know, I would have my phals on there, so they kind of have like, you know, a barrier between the glass and the plant, and that seemed to kind of work pretty well. This one here is a primary hybrid, and that means that it's basically got two species in this orchid. So this orchid is called Phalaenopsis Bronze Maiden, and it's a cross between Phalaenopsis mannii and Phalaenopsis schilleriana. You would normally not be able to really get them in the flower shops or in you know, in the supermarkets. These would normally come from orchid nursery. So and you know, they would have a proper name as well. As I said, you know, this one is called Bronze Maiden, and it's got a cross between two species. These guys here, you know, we just call them complex hybrids or no ID phals, because there is so many phals crossed to get these hybrids that it's really difficult to say what is in them. So it is just a complex hybrid. And but yeah, this guy here is it's got slightly different requirements. Basically what I do with it is I don't let it dry out ever. You can see I've got a microfiber here, and I've got some water in here. There's actually one dead root right in front of you, but you know, the rest of the roots look pretty good. And you can see it's had this aerial root here, and then it pushed out the branches and they're going down into the media. So yeah, I mean, it's a happy plant. And these kind of primary hybrids or species phals, they quite often can be fragrant, and they have the spikes that are kind of sequential bloomers. And you can see it's quite a small plant. So this is like a miniature size phal. And if you've got any questions or any comments, please, you know, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I would be more than happy to help you out and answer your questions. And yeah, I hope you enjoy and have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!